So we saw yesterday that you can have a theophany and an epiphany, and those times are going to happen when we are in God's presence in a profound way. So today we're asking, how do you enter God's presence? What does it take to get there? Well, there's some essentials of your prayer time. The first one is the prayer closet, and I call it the prayer closet because some translations call it the prayer closet in the Bible. But what it essentially is it's a place where you're not going to be interrupted. It's a place where you can go and be alone with God. It could be a field out in the middle of nowhere. It could be your backyard and laying in a hammock. It could be a room in your house. For me, that's what it is. It could actually be a physical closet. It could be your time in a bubble bath. But it's a place where you're not interrupted and you can focus on God. That focus on God is absolutely essential. So when I go into my prayer time, one of the first things I do is I tell him what's going on. I talk about the things that I've messed up. I've talked about my sins. I lay it all out there. And then that helps me to get the focus off of me and get my focus on God, because I want to hear from him. I'm going to do some reading from the Bible. I'm going to read the Bible out loud. I'm going to be really thinking about what the Bible says in a deep way, not just glazing over it and passively reading it. I'm reading to walk away with some learning. And then I spend some time in praise and worship. And there is a difference between praise and worship. We're going to see that in a couple of days. And then this important part, listen. Just sit and bask in his presence. Enjoy being with him. And you may feel like you're in an empty room in the beginning, and there will be times when you still feel like that, even after you've been doing it for a very long time. But there's also going to be times where God has a lot to share with you. And that's when that epiphany, I almost combined the words, that's when the epiphany or theophany starts to happen. And the room gets filled with God's presence. You may start to notice that smell of flowers or the smell of incense. And then you want to journal it. You want to write down what's happening. You want to write down what God is showing you, what God is sharing with you, and ways that you can grow in your relationship with Christ. So there's going to be times where you hear it and you physically hear God speaking, and it's a small, very gentle voice. There's going to be times where thoughts are popping into your head and you don't know where they came from. You know it's not your thought. Visions and dreams is another way that God may communicate with you. It can also be a feeling. It's just a gut feeling. You know that you know that you know. And keep in mind that just because God has traditionally communicated with you in one way doesn't mean that he won't change it up. Most of the time I have visions and dreams. But and then every now and then God will give me a word, and I have these thoughts pop into my head and I know they're not my thoughts. So don't get stuck in thinking, oh, this is the one way that God talks to me, because it can be a variety of ways. In Psalm 46, starting in verse 4, it says, "There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God will help her when morning dawns. The nations rage, the kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Selah. Come, behold the works of the Lord, how he has brought desolations on the earth. He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots of fire." This is all reassuring us that God's presence is there and he's actively moving in our lives. And then verse 10, "Be still and know that I am God." That's what that prayer closet time is all about. It's about getting still, recognizing who God is, recognizing who you are in the relationship, and basking in his presence. "I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Selah." In Colossians 3, verses 1-4, it says, "If you have been raised with Christ, seek the things that are above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above and not on the things of this earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. That's why I tell him everything that's going on in my life at the beginning, so I can get the focus off of me and get the focus on God. That's an essential part of your prayer time. And then our focus verse for this week. When you call, then you will call on me, and I come and pray to me, and I will hear you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. Go in your prayer closet. Seek him with all your heart. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.